Good morning, everybody. Kathy Hawk here. Happy Monday. I love our Monday mornings together and setting the tone for the week to give you something really, really important to focus on for the entire week so that you can have the best outcome ever, that you can live lights on and really be in joy. So what I thought I'd talk about today is expanding this idea of high notice. And in Gary's blog, which you'll read on Friday, it says basically, are you a high noticer? And he tells a story in there about a woman who is a wilderness guide, and she, after a long day of hiking, watched some of the people, so they were setting up their campfires, and she noticed this couple, they weren't talking to each other. And she had a story in her mind. She watched them and she just went into judgment. She made up a story like they didn't have a good time, and they must be angry at each other, whatever went off in her monkey mind. She made up a story. And then she got closer and she noticed that they were deaf and that they were doing sign language. And it was a brother and a sister, and it was their most treasured way of communicating, was to get out in nature and to of course, obviously use sign language. And then what the guide realized was that in all of that, what she did was judge before she even got closer. She was in a story in her head that she'd made up about them and what they were up to and not up to. And so instead of being focused on her high noticing of the light, of the high noticing of her journey, she was off in a story about somebody else. How many times a day do we divert ourselves from our path by judging others, by making up stories about things that we see or interact with? And is that really serving you? That's the question. So how do you use high noticing to be aware of the energy around you and the patterns that you have of thinking? That instead of a rush to judgment, how about if you have a rush to being an observer? And really, Gary talks about that, and he asks a few questions for you to think about, which are, what are you aware of and curious about in this moment? And are you doing something out of habit versus being open to another way? And that's what I'd like you to think about. High curiosity, high noticing, really dropping judgment and being the observer, and then see what you notice and how that will help keep you on your path. All right. Well, have a great week. That's an assignment for you. And I'll end the broadcast now.